All right, guys, welcome back into Vaspods. We are here today for episode 31. Today we have a very special guest. We have Winston Brooks, former Gonzaga Bulldog, also Northern Idaho. Right now with the Spokane Police Department.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir, with the Spokane Police Department. Winston, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I really appreciate you for coming on. We'll just get right into it. Kind of give us a overview of who Winston is, kind of growing up, where you're from, all that good stuff.
Oh man, started. Grew up in Richmond, Virginia, East Coast. Went to school there. Graduated. Ended up going to Independence, Kansas. It was a big culture shock for me, coming from the inner city to the suburbs for the most part. Stayed there for a semester. And then I went to Howard Community College in Big Springs, Texas. Another culture shock. Stayed there, finished out their first year. So half a year at Independence, half a year at Howard. Played the next year there, became a top 25 freshman in Texas with my buddy Steve Bonner. And then we both went to North Idaho College, where we helped revitalize that team. Took them to the playoffs. And then I went to Gonzaga University, where I played with some of the greats in that program. So I've been all over the place in my early years.
Most definitely. Where high school ball, growing up, where did you play high school ball at?
I played at Huguenot High School in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
We had a ton of talent back there. Bo Jones. Some of these names that guys wouldn't even know. David Terrell. Allen Iverson was down the street from us. Michael Vick was down the street from us.
Okay.
We had a ton of people. Bruce Branch that went to play football at Penn State. And the list goes on from there.
Is there anybody that's growing up that maybe went the educational path, but could have maybe went the sports path? Like that was just that good. Is there anybody that you grew up with like that?
Yeah, we had quite a few. You know, when the talent pool is so big, not everyone's going to get picked. We had some really good football and basketball players in Richmond that didn't get the looks. As we know now, it's all about where you're being seen at, how you're being seen, how many players are there. So if a coach is there to see one kid, they might end up with two, but it's 10, 12 kids that can play at that same level. So some guys kind of lost their confidence because they didn't get recruited as well and ended up going into different paths of life.
Most definitely. Okay. What type of player were you growing up? Like, were you obviously point guard? But like,
Yes,
growing up,
sir.
who did you model your game after?
So it's funny. So being growing up in Richmond, Virginia on the East Coast, my idol was Magic Johnson with the Lakers.
Yeah. Okay.
I love the pass first mentality, and then seeing a lot of other players, Isaiah Thomas, Stockton, obviously guys that led their teams. I was pretty pass first oriented. I was a really good point guard in high school. I went to there would be some games where I would get 20. You know, I would get chastised by my assistant coach because I was letting someone score a lot on me at the time, and I'd come out and have 20 in the second half. And then I went to Vegas one time where I became they used to call it was the Adidas Big Time Tournament.
Adidas 64.
I think that's what it's called now, but it used to
Oh,
be
okay.
it used to be called the Adidas Big Time Tournament,
I
where I
see.
averaged 16 points and 11 assists each game, and I was getting heavily recruited by everyone until they figured out my grades weren't good enough to go to school. So, yeah, that was a big deal for me at the time, where school had to come first, which I didn't. Coming from the inner city, school isn't everything back then. So I wasn't eligible to go to Division I out of high school.
Outside of basketball, who was Winston Brooks growing up? Like, what did you enjoy to do?
I tell my kids this now. I wanted to be outside. We wanted to be playing football. We wanted to be playing, basketball. We wanted to ride our bikes. We wanted to play what we called back on the East Coast roly poly. It's
Rolling
like a,
forward.
a, a softball, baseball game where you hit a tennis ball as far as you can, and someone catches it, and they roll it all the way to the bat. If they hit your bat, then it's their time to hit, right? So
I
we always
see.
wanted to
Okay.
stay on the stick, but we did have video games back then, but not as much as the kids have now, right? And we wanted to be outside, and half the time our parents wanted us outside because they don't want us in the house. So we were just very, very active, and I think that's looking at the generations now of how good players are and how good players were. It's more because of the outside time that we had. We weren't cooped up in the house on Xbox or PlayStation or doing any of that stuff. So I wanted to be outside, man. That's I was outside too much when I was young. I was getting in trouble as well because I was staying out when we shouldn't have been outside. So I learned my lesson, as a youth as well, about what being outside meant. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so everybody knows Gonzaga, Starlight, all of everything that was there. Let's talk about North Idaho before. What was it like playing there? Obviously, you just said that North Idaho was not good before you got there. They might have. Were
they
they
had a
good?
couple good
Maybe.
teams before. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a couple. But explain what it was like going to North Idaho and playing there.
So it started when I was in Texas. We had just finished that season, and the assistant coach left Texas to go to North Idaho, and he says, "Hey, I want to take you and Steve and one of our other buddies, Vaspods, Trivialis from Greece, to North Idaho." And when I was like, "I'm not going to North Idaho, man. I've traveled enough." And then he got up there and sent us a picture of the outline of the community college, and I was like, "Whoa."
It's
You,
nice.
you can walk out of class and be right on the beach, right?
Yeah.
So going from 115 degrees in Texas and having sandstorms to Idaho was really, really good for us. So we ended up there, and the community in North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, is amazing. They love their players. We packed the gym out every night. Once we got rolling, they treat you first class at that program, and we had a ball. We had an old school coach. First coach I ever seen coach in blue jeans was Hugh Watson, and he was so country. He was from Tennessee, and he just let us. He let us play. He let me play like Magic. At that time, I'm obviously Magic 6'9", and I'm 5'10", 5'11", right? He just let me go do my thing. So I broke the single season assist record there at 226 at the time, at like 24 games or something like that. But he let me do my thing, and I had my running mate Steve Bonner from Petersburg, Virginia, who would catch anything I would throw to him. We had shooters, we had dunkers, we had. It was a good show to watch at the junior college level, and we played against a lot of competition in that league. So.
Was it still the same league that it is today? Like, is it still NAIA or?
It just went back to it has switched to that SWAC. No,
Oh,
it changed to the conference that Spokane Community College is in, but then it went back to the conference that I played in,
I see.
which was
Okay,
one of
'cause
the best conferences ever.
I see. I see. Okay, I was wondering about that. After Northern Idaho, you go to Gonzaga. Was Mark Few your coach? Was Mark Few? Mark Few was the coach at that time.
Yeah, Coach Few. I think it was his second year.
Second year.
Second year, him being the head man. I played with some of the best that ever went through that school. Dan Dickow, Blake Stepp, Ronnie Terryoff, Zach Gord, Corey Vowlett, Tony Skinner. We had guys like Earl Knight, who was a red shirt. We had a really good team. All those conversations of would your team beat my team? We would have played them tough. Like I listened to Kobe talk about Mike in their 2001 team against their 99 team or whatever it is. And I'm like, man, if we can do that with these colleges sometimes too, it'll be fun.
Yeah, 2K needs to put together, or if they put together a college game, they need to do all-time teams
Yeah,
like
that
they
would
did
be
in
great.
two, like they do in 2K. What was it like at Gonzaga at that time? Obviously, it was still you guys were building it into what it is now. What was it like though?
Yeah, so the guys before us, right before us, Santangelo, Nielsen, Floyd, those guys, Quinn Hall, they worked their butts off. You know, they had that historic game against Florida, that big
Yeah.
run in the NCAA tournament. So it was just getting the traction when we were coming through, and we took it and ran with it. You know, it was an honor to follow those guys. So we had some really good games, some really good teams that we played against. And we will play anybody anywhere was our motto, right? We got our butts handed to us the first game of the season when I was there against Illinois, where they had uh, Brian Cook and those guys. They
Mhm.
had like four pros on that team, and then we started to get our traction, get our legs under us, and we played exceptionally well. I think my first year there, we were 26-3. We lost in
Yeah.
the first round of the playoffs or something like that, or the NCAA tournament, because Dan couldn't guard a dead man in the coffin. We played really good that year. We played a lot of good teams that year.
I love Dan Dickow is on the CBS calls. I hear him all the time, and we
Yeah,
just mentioned him on the radio a couple nights or a couple days ago, and I was like, Dan Dickow is always he's the guy like because people are like, who's Dan Dickow, and I'm like, you guys got to
Dan
come
was
over
that
here,
guy.
come to the dark
Dan was
side.
that guy back then. He could shoot the lights
Exactly.
out, and he had no floppy hair, but he was that guy back then.
Um, when you were at Gonzaga, was there anything just like moments that like stick out to you, memories or anything like that?
The first one was when we went and played Fresno State in California. You know, we get off the bus and we're at the Lakers Coliseum. That's what I grew up watching. You know,
Yeah.
I walked into that building and I saw all the banners and I saw the things of Magic Johnson and those guys, and I was like a little fanboy back then because that's who I watched. That's who I grew up watching, right? So when we went there, it was great. The moments, you know, our NCAA loss that we had to Arizona, double overtime loss where they had Shannon Fry, Luke Walton, Andre Iguodala, Salim Stoudemire, Jason Garden. They had a ton of players that went to the league that year and the year after. But that was one of the biggest games we had. And it was actually on ESPN Instant Classic the very next day because it was so good. Double overtime, 1 point loss to the number one team in the country as a 9 seed. So that was really that. People still talk about that game till today. We get more credit, I think, for not even winning that game, but just being in that game. You know, because we weren't predicted to even get in the game.
Is there any form of pressure in those types of moments? Do you feel it, or is it just like just playing basketball?
I guess it depends on who you are, what seed you are. Because if you're the number one seed playing against a 16 seed like now, and you lose those games, there's a ton of pressure on you. If you're an 8, 9 seed, you're just out there playing. Like you're in the middle of the road. The higher seeds, they have a ton of pressure on them because you know the analysts and everyone thinks they should be national champions. But if you're a 10 seed and lower, and you're just going out there you're playing because nobody believed in you anyway. So you're just going to go play.
Most definitely. I always wonder if there's like a sense of like, because obviously I've never been in that moment, and 99% of us have never been in that moment before. If it's just like We see some people. I'm a Laker fan. We see some people they shine under pressure when they can hit that corner three. Some people can't hit the corner three when the lights are shining. Like, and so I always wonder if there's that pressure. What did you guys? You played in the old building? It wasn't the Kennel yet, correct?
No, it was the Martin Center.
Well, okay, explain because there's a lot of us, me included, that have maybe never even seen. I mean, I've seen it because I've worked at Gonzaga, but like a lot of people maybe have never even seen it at my age. Like, explain what it was like to be in that building.
So the Martin Center was. I'm trying to think of what was the capacity. Maybe 2,500, maybe 2,000, but they squeezed about 4,000 in there, right? I mean, it was to the point where when the games were close or the kennel club was getting rowdy, you can literally feel the floor shaking under your feet. And for some teams to come into that environment, that was a big shocker to them because you have some bigger teams that would come over here like the University of Washington, Washington State, those bigger schools, and come into this little sardine can. But it was so loud, you couldn't hear anything your coaches were saying to you. You can literally feel the floor trembling under your feet. So for us, it was normal, but I've seen it for other players from other teams where they were like, "Holy crap, this is the environment right here." So you got all these big gyms now. Everyone's 15,000. Actually, GU's only 6,500, 20,000 fans. They never really feel that because those fans aren't right on top of you. I remember diving for balls, chasing balls, and getting right to the end line and jumping out to throw the ball back in, and I'm sitting on someone's lap. Right, you're right. They're right on top of you. So
That is super cool. Obviously the kennel is really cool. I've always loved the kennel club growing up. Obviously the kennel club has had to be a little bit more tamed. I'm not sure if somebody has told them that over time or if like, but I feel like your guys' era, what was it, Heidfeld's era, like all of Matt Bolden, everybody, like those were good kennel club. What is some of the best stuff or trash talk that you have heard over your time?
I think they might have toned them down, but I think that's across the country now because people, fans. I mean, they love their teams, right? They love their programs, and they're out researching you, and they're coming up with some of the craziest things that you didn't even knew about you. But the Kennel Club, they had their chance, and I can't recall all of them. I remember there was a girl that held up "Will you marry me" sign for me one time, and I thought that was cool. But the Kennel Club they're very very Prozacs. They never booed us. They don't boo them now. You see some home teams would boo their own team when they're not performing well. But the Kennel Club, man, they're 100% on the Zag side, win or loss.
No, yes, sir. Yes, sir. They definitely are. Okay, one last question here, real quick. Can I get a all-time starting five Gonzaga? Your all-time starting five.
You're gonna get some people to hate me right now.
And if you need to, we can put a sixth man and we can go seven if needed. But if you want to just go five, because I know that could be a lot too.
All time five. I got to put my good friend John Stockton in there.
Okay, at the one.
Really good friends with him. In no particular order, obviously. Ronnie Terrioff.
Ronnie, yes, sir.
Ronnie is that guy and was that guy. And for all time, you got to put players like Jim McPhee, who's the second all-time leading scorer, or third by now. I'm not sure which one. Frank Burgess, who is the all-time leading scorer. God, there's so many, man. You about to make people not like me.
It's hard. It's hard. There's a lot.
And those are legends, right? And I mean, you look at guys like Adam Morrison, had a tremendous collegiate career. I would have to put him in there. So I think that'd be your five. So you have Stockton running the point. Actually, him and Burgess, Jim McPhee and Morrison scoring it. Ronnie Terry off, defending the paint, scoring on the block. I mean, that's a good 5. And then you got a couple more. Man, there's so many that you can put in that top 5. So
What is your opinion on the newer age basketball? Are you a fan of it? Are you not a fan of it? Are there things that you like? Or what are some things that you like? What are some things that you don't like?
I don't think that kids understand the importance of getting up on a Saturday morning, getting up, going out to school and just going to a park and playing pickup ball. Everyone thinks they have to have a trainer now, and it's diminished kids' abilities to be competitive and be creative, right? So I'm an AAU coach myself, and I'm always talking to my kids about getting out, watching the game, doing those things because they don't do it enough now. And not being able to play at a park, play your own 5-on-5 or a pickup game, it really hampers your creativity and your ability to make things happen. So a couple years ago, I started an open gym for the girls that I coach. And I said no parents can be in there, and you have to call your own fouls, your own travels, and it improved their IQ. And they were only 10 at the time, 11, 12, somewhere in there. And they were like, "What? We got to call our own fouls. We got to call our own travels." And I go, "Yeah, we're not calling anything because I want you guys to learn the game." And a few years ago, I was over in Seattle, and I was driving, and I look off to my left, and I see a park that had about 25 kids out there playing basketball, and I just sat there and watched them. They probably thought I was a creepo, but I am a cop. I was just sitting there like, this is great to see these kids just out in the park playing because we don't get that enough anymore, and our generation don't get that. This current generation don't get that enough.
I 100% agree with you. One of my knocks on Spokane and hooping in Spokane is everybody in about 2 months from now, you're going to see everybody at the parks here pretty soon. And because Hoop Fest is coming up. And then as soon as Hoop Fest is done, you won't see anybody at the YMCA's. You won't see anybody outside playing no more. Like it has to be something. There has to be something at the end of it. There has to be something like there always has to be a reward for like instead of just going out there and just having that. The reward is having fun and just.
But the reward is you going and playing on your AAU team or your high school team and you being the best player, if not the best, but one of the best out there, because you've been through these things, right? And
yes, sir.
We just don't have our kids that everything has to be organized. So when I was growing up, I know if I got up and went down to Rockwell Park, there's already 11 guys out there, and then an hour later there's 9 more guys to join. Now we got 2 courts running, and you never wanted to lose because the winner stayed on when I grew up. Now they even change it to where the losers stay on and the winners got to step off, and it's like, what's the incentive to winning? So they never grow to win.
No, I agree with you. It's really sad. That's one of my favorite parts. I lived in Portland for a while. It always runs 10 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock in the morning, or in the afternoon, runs all the time at parks everywhere. That's I miss that. And that's one of the things that it's one of my knocks on Spokane. But let's talk about, okay, so when you play basketball, you're obviously the point guard and everything. What are some leadership qualities that you took from basketball that you use today?
Well, you mean in my professional career?
Yes, sir.
In general.
Just some things that you've learned that you use today.
Nothing's easy. Anything you want, you're gonna have to work for it.
Okay.
I teach that to my kids.
Sure.
When they're playing sports, I got a 16-year-old who's playing volleyball, a couple of 10-year-olds playing basketball, and it's anything you want, you're gonna have to go get it. And that comes from playing from some of these tough coaches that's not giving you anything, right? And the more that you prepare yourself, the better you're going to be. And that's in work and in life.
Okay, I really okay. This is probably gonna be my favorite part of the podcast right here. I'm not gonna lie. I'll really want to get into your job. I think your job is really cool. Tell us about what you do, kind of what you can tell us, obviously, and just kind of how everything works.
So I got in trouble when I was young. When I was a juvenile back in Richmond, I was on the other side of the law. And then when I came and I finished my playing career, I had one of my good friends said, "Hey, you will be a really good officer." And I was like, "No way! Like, there's no way I'll be a good cop." So I ended up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho first. That's where I started off being a police officer, and then I came to Spokane. So I've been in it for 16 years now, going on 17. And once I got my feet under me and understood how to be a cop, I knew there was nothing else I ever do. Policing is a hard career now because of all the things that go on across the country. Citizens like to lump, Spokane PD in with another department because of whatever happens. So you got to fight through that. I'm just a patrol guy now. I was on a task force at one time, but patrol life, I get to be my own boss. I drive my car. That's my office. I got my computer in there. I got my radio. I got my own heat, air. I can contact who I want to. I stop at a lot of businesses talking to our community members because being who I was as a player, I still keep in good contact with all of our community people. So let's see. It's a great career, man. I wish more athletes got into it because it's a self-starter, self-motivating job. If you're not a really good self-starter or self-motivator, you won't be good at this career. And the more athletes we get into it, the better I think it'll be. But yeah, it's a great career, man. It pays well. Take care of the family, and you get to be involved with the community.
What are some misconceptions that maybe even you had before and that maybe people have about police officers?
That police are out to get you. So I've said this to a lot of people before that if say take my wife for an example, she got a ticket a couple of weeks ago driving, and she had never been contacted by the police before. And I go, that's what the community need to understand. If you don't commit an infraction or a crime, you can go your whole life without being contacted by the police, right? And when you commit these things, whether it's heinous or small, you're going to get contacted by the police. So there's a lot of people that live from other stories. Like you and I, we're friends, and I go, man, Mr. Jackson, he done got hit by the police, and I go, I'm going to go tell my friends I got hit by the police, right? Because I'd never had contact with them. But that's how communities and people in the communities are. Now, have there been some rogue or bad officers out there? Absolutely, there has been. Just like there's been bad teachers and bad lawyers and bad doctors and bad everything else, right? So I'm not saying policing is 100% just had this gold star this entire time. Because we do have people that go off the rails, but that's in every profession, right? That's not just our profession, but we get the most criticism.
The eyes are on you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got to be good at this.
Most definitely. Do you have any obviously I know like appropriate, but like any like good stories that you could tell, like maybe like on like a night shift or something that we could maybe that you could maybe bless us with.
Oh man, there's a ton there's a ton of stories. I don't know if they're appropriate for the camera, but let's see. I've been into a ton of pursuits, chasing people that didn't want to get captured. Those are in my eyes pretty fun. They're very dangerous, for the community, for the suspect, for myself as well. I recently, and not recently, if you look on my work Facebook page, I started doing this thing where I started looking for victims of crimes on my off time, and I wanted to help them and bless them. And I've had some people that, like, their cars have been stolen and their car seats have been just ruined for their kids, and I've asked them to meet me at Walmart. I don't even publish it to like my department because I don't really care about that. But I wanted to help people out, and I'm in a position that I can do that for some of our community members. So that's what I'm in it for. Yes, I have to take people to jail, but there's a lot of people that I get to interact with even after the fact. That's the most rewarding thing for me.
When you are on one of those like high speed chases or anything, is like, or do you, like, what are the feelings that are going through, like thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, like what is going on? Like, how are you feeling?
Well, the first thing is you have to stay calm, because if you don't, you're going to end up crashing your car or not being able to relate to your partners, your direction, what you're doing. So for me, I've been in it for a while now. I try to stay as calm as possible because everything's moving so fast, right? I mean, one wrong move, one wrong jerk of the wheel, one person stepping off a sidewalk that you don't see coming, and it's the end, right? So you have to be super, super calm and don't have tunnel vision when you're in those things.
Do you have do you listen to your own music in there? Like, I
Oh yeah.
sometimes I see these videos, and there's like a very popular video that's out right now of this police officer in a high speed chase listening to. Do you know who Bossman
Like
D-Lo
Taylor
is?
Swift or something.
But do you know who Bossman D-Lo is?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he was listening to Bossman D-Lo. Do you guys have your own like radio in there? Can you guys listen to your own radio?
Oh yeah.
How does that go?
Yeah. All day long. I'm listening to a podcast in the mornings because I start at 6 now. I used to work graveyard. I just went to day shift, but I got my playlist. I got everybody in there. I got people from Jay-Z to Lil Wayne to Keith Urban to Beyonce.
Yeah.
It's everybody.
What is well, a couple more questions on this. What is the most rewarding part of your job?
Seeing people succeed, seeing people that were in hard times succeed. I have stories of people that I've ended up either arresting or letting go that have turned their life around. One guy in particular, I won't say his name. I got him in a certain part of town, and he had some illegal things on him, and I told him I wasn't going to arrest him that day. I was going to just file charges on him, and literally a year later, if that, I was doing another arrest in another part of town, and he comes up to me and has on a construction vest and everything, and I'm actually in the middle of making this arrest, and he's like walking up to me. I'm thinking, dude, you got to back up, give me some space. I'm working here. And after we got everything, he goes, hey, you remember me? And I go, look at him and go, not really. He says, I'm the guy that you let go in this part of town. And I go, wow. He says, yep, that encounter there changed my life. I started going to church. He looked so clean. He had a job then, and I go, that's what this policing should be about, right? Like, they talk about jail being a rehab or a rehabilitation center, and we can do that in the streets as well too. So there's a lot more stories of people that have had success after I've contacted them, and that's what I'm definitely proud about.
Most definitely. This is the last one. What is one thing, or maybe even two things if you want, as many things as you, honestly, this is your time. What are some things that you wish you could change about policing, or maybe just like how they go about things, or just how, whatever?
I tell, so I was a training officer. I don't train anymore, but talk to everyone like they're your friend, right? Like you'll get way more from the other side if you talk to them like they're your friend. Don't be so harsh. We get a lot of officers that are new, and they don't understand that I don't have to be so stern when I'm talking to individuals. But talk to them like they're your friends. Like you and I talking right now, I talk to anybody I come across, right? And until it turns, from their end, then I stay in this. This is how I am as an officer, and I just wish we would treat everyone and talk to everyone like they're our friends first, and then you got to gauge it from there, because not everybody's going to come out and be as friendly as you want them to be, but sometimes you can get them to come to that side. I joke with people a lot. All my buddies say I'm just a joker, right? I say things to people that some officers are like, whoa, that was pretty slick the way you said that, right? I've been lucky enough to not be hurt in 16, almost 17 years, just because of how I treat people.
Most definitely. I think that is probably one of the most important things, because I know you know this, but we're scared of you guys. Like, and not that you guys are gonna do anything, but like it's a moment for everybody, and everybody is in a just a moment of heightened.
Well, it's a narrative that had been started. That police are going to hurt you, and like I said earlier, if you never committed a crime, if you never had an infraction. There's people that I know that have never been contacted by the police, and they're 30s and 40 years old.
Yes, sir.
Because they haven't been there.
No, most definitely. All right, I want to kind of transition off this. I got a couple more for you, and then I'll get you out of here. What does a perfect off day look like for Mr. Brooks?
A perfect off day for me is hanging with my wife and kids. I have a bunch of friends that come over that we play cards and dominoes. I'm an officer, but I still love doing these things, right?
You playing bones?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the bone champion around here.
Yeah.
You guys Tony Skinner when you get him on here. But I coach my 10-year-old AAU team or Y-ball team. I watch my son's team, who Tony Skinner coach. I watch my 16-year-old play volleyball. And we have a 1-year-old as well, so we're all over the place, man. My off time is spending with my family and with my wife and my kids. We do everything together. We're in the gym. We were in the gym yesterday from 4 to 9:30 last night because of the games that were going on.
I see. Okay. What is advice that you would give to your younger self?
Ooh, there's a lot. Schooling would be different. Not afraid to or ashamed to say I graduated with a 1.6 GPA in high school, because I just didn't care too much about school back then. But then I flipped that around and had a 3.6 my first year in college because I had to get there, and I had let so many opportunities go away from being recruited from Georgetown to Maryland to Clemson, that it really stung when I realized grades were that important. So my schooling would be one. I would still stay out in the streets because that was fun, playing, running, jumping. That's how you become an athlete, really, playing all these different sports and activities with your buddies. But yeah, I mean, where my life has ended at right now, I probably wouldn't change much.
That's cool. Okay, I like to hear that. So for the kids that are out there that are watching this podcast and everything, and they're like, Mr. Brooks, I want to make it to Gonzaga. How would you? What is your suggestion for them, or to wherever? I want to make it to a D1 school. I want to go play basketball. I want to go play football. Whatever it is. If you just had an elevator, not even an elevator pitch, but if you had a minute with them, 2 minutes with them, what would you tell them?
Do as much as you can while you're young. Play football, play baseball, play basketball, because you get to work these different muscles. You become more of an athlete instead of one sport focused only. Because if you wanted to play one sport, I mean, you better be really, really, really good at that sport, because there's so many kids. So like I tell my kids, for every one of you, there's another 500,000 of you. And then when you get older, give it 5 years from now, it's going to be another 275,000 of you. What's going to make you stand out in that group? So the more you do, riding your bike, because that's cardio. They don't see it that way, but riding your bike everywhere you go, that's cardio. Running up and down some hills, not as in training, but playing with your friends, right? Going to the park and shooting hoops, playing pickup ball, then going out and getting the football and playing two-hand touch or tackle with your friends, then throwing a softball or baseball at someone to hit. You're doing a lot. You're working on that hand-eye coordination. So if you want to be a good Division I player, even Division II right now, they got some really good athletes in there too. You got to go out and do more, and also keep those grades up if you want to stay at the top there.
Before we get too far, I just want to touch on this topic real quick, and we will keep it super brief. But what are your thoughts on this year's Gonzaga's team and just kind of where the program is now?
This 2024-25 team is interesting. I think they, Coach Few's always been an offensive guy, and obviously they need a little bit more defense now. They got the players. Ryan Nemhart is phenomenal with the ball. Graham Ike, really tough down in the paint. But they need to be able to guard guys, 94 feet. I don't think they have anyone right now that's even willing to attempt that. But if they can guard guys, man, they can go a long way. They haven't been blown out this year, and we've seen that in years past where they might drop a game by 30. But this year, all their losses have been within, I think, 8. So they've been playing really good. But they had that lockdown defender, and they would be in the discussion again for making it to the national championship. The whole NIL bill has changed the landscape for schools across the country, and not just GU. With this new NIL deal, I got 3 more years to play still because of my JUCO years, right? I wish I was young enough to go back and play, but it just changed the landscape for everyone. Because now you gotta have money for the best kids to come to your school. But I think Gonzaga's still doing it the right way, and they're getting kids in there. And I heard something about college that's not even recruiting high schoolers anymore because they need JUCO and older men now. And I said that to Coach Few, or about Coach Few a couple years ago, is you got to get some of these older guys now because the landscape has changed big time.
Do you think that it will ever shift back to where it was like everybody's 18 to like 22, 23, like 20, maybe 20, like pushing, like we have a couple 23, like do you think it will ever go back to that where like a Calipari could be successful again, or is this the new age of basketball?
Everything comes and goes. Let's go back a few minutes to policing. People love policing. People don't like policing. People love policing, right? And it's the same thing with this NIL deal. Someone at some point is going to say, we can't continue to keep working this way. So
Yes, sir.
Young was good back then, and now we're in this phase right now. But where does the money stop at, though? Who's going to say, okay, you can't give this kid $4.8 million to come to your school? Like, these guys are some of these kids are making more than their coaches now. And so do all the coaches decide, like Coach Bennett at UVA or Coach Wright at Villanova, who 2 great coaches that saw this thing coming and was like, I'm going to get out of here now. So,
yes, sir. And it's really sad because I love all the good, like, old coaches, like, even Nick Saban. Like, I'm not an Alabama fan. I'm a Nebraska Cornhusker fan. I can't stand Alabama. He's the GOAT, though. He's one of the GOATs. Like, he's so, like, I like success. I like people that are, like, I don't like LeBron. LeBron's on the Lakers. I like LeBron because he's with the Lakers. But, like, I can respect greatness. And I see greatness, and, like, I can see all of that. But last question real quick, then I'll get you out of here. I think it's all these questions I think are very important, but like probably I think one of the most important ones is, what is your definition of success?
Definition of success is not being stagnant in life. Being able to improve, whether it's hourly or daily, but just not be stagnant. We talk about, in our communities, we talk about breaking the cycle. And do we stay there? And have I made an improvement today? Am I better than yesterday? it isn't always about money. It isn't always about status. But success is, am I better today than I was yesterday? And if I can say yes, am I better to my wife? Am I better to my kids? Did I do something better today than I did yesterday? That's successful. There's a lot of different definitions, I guess, of people. Like success is, I just made $1 million. Well, for me, it's about how do I improve my family? How do I improve myself? That's my success.
Most definitely. I love that. Everybody always has a different answer to what success is, and I feel like everybody always thinks it's monetary value. It's something that I can pick up right here and touch, like when it's when it's so many other things, and I really appreciate that. We have Winston Brooks here. Mr. Brooks, I really appreciate you coming on today. This has been super awesome.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.